Ladies and gents, welcome back. Over the COVID-19 period here in Canada, we saw many advertisements put out, and many advertisements now in retrospect turned out the information that they were sharing was untrue, and some of it was known at the time, but it was just not allowed or popular to be talked about in social circles or in advertisement or in media. But now it turns out that they actively were using fear to drive people to, make decisions that they otherwise did not want to make. Here we have from True North, Saskatchewan government vaccine advertisement tapped into fear. Ad agency admits. This is unreal. A Saskatchewan ad agency has admitted to using a fear-based approach to encourage COVID-19 vaccination in an advertisement completed for the province's Ministry of Health. Brown's Communications Group, which created the campaign, recently said on its website that it targeted people who were vaccine hesitant or resistant by tapping into a base potential fear of how their vaccine status could affect their lives. How does that work? Wait, let's read. At the time of the campaign, those who feared COVID-19 and those who were community-minded had already received the vaccine. That's why appealing to our audience's altruism or sense of greater good wasn't going to be effective. Rather, we needed to focus on how individuals could be affected moving forward, wrote Brown Communications Group. We strategized that if someone's vaccination status began affecting their social life, travel plans, or entertainment, that could be a final motivation needed to get on board. So we tapped into a base potential fear of this group, the fear of missing out, or the fear of being socially ostracized. You know, it's weird. I always thought there was another word for that. I think the dictionary has another word for that. That's right, coercion. This is a term used for using, the practice of persuading someone to do something by using force or threats. Our problem cannot be solved by any other form of coercion, but only by agreement, is the quote here for an example of coercion. Or how about it'd be a real shame if you weren't allowed to go to work, you weren't allowed to go to social events, you weren't allowed to do all these things. Yeah, that would be a real shame. So this is definitely a case of advertisement using coercion, which is also happens to be against the Nuremberg Code. This is a code of ethics that was brought about after the Second World War, when some of the bad guys in that conflict did medical experimentation and put people in medical treatments against their will. This code came forward after the trial and execution of several of these doctors that were involved in this. This code came forward to explain the ethics of medical treatment. Right at the very top, the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. And it goes on to say that you cannot use coercion in any form for medical treatment. Now, the Western Standard always also writing on this one from October 1st, 2021 to February 2022, Saskatchewan COVID-19 restriction policy was in place. However, the province ended all restrictions on Valentine's Day. BGG's campaign showcased two videos. The first depicted a tailgate party with a Saskatchewan Roughriders fans, while the other one showed a house party. Both videos highlighted instances of discrimination against vaccinated individuals, not in a negative light, in a positive light. It's this is what'll happen to you if you don't do it, so you better get out and do it. Again, with that case of coercion. The campaign did not address factors such as health conditions, religious beliefs, or doubts regarding the vaccine efficacy, which may have contributed to some individuals' hesitancy or resistance to getting vaccinated. But this is the case. Now, at the time in Saskatchewan, well, what was being said, here is an article from Global News, saying Saskatchewan COVID-19 vaccine ads should be fun, tailored, and promote civic duty. An expert says, according to this article, the government of Saskatchewan wants commercials to promote getting a COVID-19 vaccine. The province posted a tender on the Sask Tenders website late last week, looking to hire filmmakers for a series of commercials to raise public awareness about the importance of getting vaccinated. It turns out they ended up going with a company that was instead happy to use fear as a tactic to coerce people into taking this medication, this treatment, whatever you want to call it. Now, the efficacy and the ethicality of using fear in social advertising has been studied probably to death at this point, and there's a clear, concise consensus on this. It's unethical, and you might find some studies that'll say, well, we may be bending some ethics in order to get around what we want to do, but the consensus is that it's unethical. Here's the Australasian Marketing Journal talking about the ethicality of using fear for social advertising. While a substantial body of literature has examined the effect of fear appeals in advertising, few, if any, studies have looked into the ethicality of using such threatening messages, particularly for social desirable outcomes, which would be the case in this case. And in fact, coercing people into taking the COVID-19 vaccine in this case here. In this paper, a review of the different theories of ethics leads to the development of an empirical study where the effects of using both physically and socially threatening messages to encourage juveniles to develop anti-smoking behavioral intentions were tested. Using the data collected from a convenience sample of about 250 undergraduates from the University of Adelaide, the results show that the fear appeals may indeed be perceived as unethical, even when used for socially desirable purposes. So even if you think that it was a good thing to be pushing these COVID-19 advertisements and pushing this onto people, it was still seen as unethical, even if the social thing was desirable. Moreover, social threats were perceived as more unethical and generated less fear than physical threats. So social ones were more unethical, suggesting that their use may be counterproductive with this type of population. Finally, ethically did not appear to relate to necessarily to change the behavioral intentions. So even studies have shown that you're not going to actually change the behavior of these people when you give them social threats. And it's actually become counterintuitive. In fact, a lot of people in those cases become more steadfast. Seeing an advertisement like that would actually encourage people to look at the advertisement agency with distrust, and then inversely or conversely, look at the government body and the health professionals as untrustworthy as well, as they push these types of things in here. Another study here showing that findings revealed that advertisement with even a mild fear appeal are considered unethical when the audiences are of a vulnerable nature. And I don't know how you could perceive anybody who's being socially ostracized from the entire population as not being of a vulnerable nature. They would be in a vulnerable position at that point, compromised and primed for social coercion. And that a relationship exists between the perceived ethicality of an ad and the level of discomfort the audience feels when viewing it. So if you if you think it was unethical at the time, that may be the case. Now, there is some good news in this case in recent times. This again from True North. Hundreds of Canadian Armed Forces members are launching a $500 million vaccine mandate lawsuit against the federal government. And this is great news, and I hope they have much success in this. In a groundbreaking move, 330 active duty and former members of the Canadian Armed Forces have come together to file lawsuit against the military for its controversial vaccine mandate. Valor law lawyer Catherine Christensen joined True North's Andrew Lawton to discuss it, and I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can check out the video where they talk more about this. But I'm going to leave this one with you guys. What do you think about the ethics surrounding using coercion tactics by fear in advertisement to push people into a product or a service? This is something that we've experienced again during this COVID-19 period in our history. Now this will be the world's history, Canadian history, how the government turned against its population in this manner. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.